Okay, so now let's talk about that behavioral target outcome that we can measure, those high SES adult judgments, in particular acceptability judgments. It's going to be our signal of syntactic island knowledge. And in particular, Sprouse and colleagues in 2012 designed this magnitude estimation judgment study that had a factorial definition controlling for two salient properties of island crossing dependencies. So the first is the length of the dependency. Is it a matrix dependency, right, where it's just spanning the matrix clause, or is it an embedded dependency where it actually spans an embedded clause, in particular a complementizer phrase, so a finite embedded clause, right? So length matrix versus embedded, that's our first property. And the second property is the presence or absence of an island structure just in the question itself. So you can have a non-island structure, typically a complementizer phrase of some kind, or an island structure, right? And you can just have these whether or not the dependency is matrix or embedded, you just have these in there. So it's the second factor. And you cross these two to get four different types of stimuli, right, for each of our four island types. So let me just show you how this works. So for complex NP islands, you can have a matrix dependency with a non-island structure, so who claimed that Lily forgot the necklace. You can have an embedded dependency with that same non-island structure. What did the teacher claim that Lily forgot, right? So now we have the dependencies stretching to the embedded clause. Now you can go back to having a matrix dependency, but now have an island structure in the utterance, right? So who made the claim that Lily forgot the necklace? Or you can have, in fact, an embedded dependency with that island structure. What did the teacher make the claim that Lily forgot, right? So that's our complex NP island. Again, the pink part right here is the actual island structure part. So you can see it's present here, but absent here in these two. And you can do this for each of our four island types. So you can do it for subject island stimuli in just the same way. We have our matrix, who thinks the necklace is expensive. You can make it embedded. What does Jack think is expensive? These are fine. You can have a matrix one with that subject island structure in there. Who thinks the necklace for Lily is expensive? And you can have an embedded dependency of that kind. Who does Jack think the necklace for is expensive? You can do this, of course, with weather islands as well. So we have our matrix non-island, who thinks that Jack stole the necklace. You can make that embedded. What does the teacher think that Jack stole? You can go back to having matrix dependency, but have now your weather island structure here, right? Who wonders whether Jack stole the necklace? And then finally, your embedded dependency with that island structure. What does the teacher wonder whether Jack stole? Okay, and then last but not least, our adjunct island stimuli, which are pretty darn similar, except so you actually have the same non-island structure. Who thinks that Lily forgot the necklace? What does the teacher think that Lily forgot? And the actual island structure for adjunct islands is this if. CP. So who worries if Lily forgot the necklace versus what does the teacher worry if Lily forgot, right? So these are our four island types with our four stimuli. And when we get judgments for a set of four stimuli, what we're looking for to signal that a syntactic island knowledge is present in the adult is a super additive interaction of these two factors. That is, these are acceptability judgments, so we're going to look for additional unacceptability. You add the unacceptability that's there, that's supposed to be there, I guess, right? And then there's additional unacceptability that arises when the two factors, that is length of the dependency, presence or absence of an island structure, are combined above and beyond the independent contribution of each factor. So let me just show you what this looks like, right? So we have an interaction plot here. On the x-axis, we have whether it's a matrix dependency or an embedded clause dependency. On the y-axis, we have a z-scored judgments, right? So higher is more acceptable, lower is less acceptable. And what we're showing you is with the solid line, what the non-island structure utterances, and with the dashed line, the island structure utterances. And the way to read this is that if you look at, for example, a matrix dependency, right, with a non-island structure, it's, this acceptable. Fine, that's sort of your baseline. And if you turn that from having a non-island structure to have an island structure, acceptability drops. There's a loss, right? There's some unacceptability about that much that occurs just by making an island structure in the utterance anywhere. Right? Now you can also, again, start with your matrix and non-island structure and then say, okay, let's make it an embedded dependency, but still that non-island structure. And again, you see like a little drop in acceptability, go from here to here, right? And so if you were just having an additive effect of having an island structure present and having an embedded dependency, you would drop this much and then you would drop that much that corresponds to the difference between here and here, right? So you would end up with parallel lines. You'd end up with something down here. But look what we have. we actually have it being even worse, right? An embedded dependency with an island structure, it's crossing the island structure. This is our additional unacceptability, our super additive interaction of these two factors. And that's saying, hey, it's not just the fact that you have an embedded dependency. It's not just the fact that you have an island structure somewhere in the utterance. It's like something extra bad about crossing this island structure. So this shows up, as you can see visually here, with non-parallel lines. It's a visual signal of superadditivity, which is again our signal of syntactic island knowledge. And contrast this just if you have an additive effect of these two factors. So you like it a little less if it's an embedded dependency. You like it a little less, sorry, an embedded dependency. You like it a little less if it's got an island structure in it, but that it's exactly the amount you would expect if you just add those two factors together, matrix to embedded, island or non-island to island, parallel lines. There's no additional unacceptability. So what do we find is that we do see these non-parallel lines, this super additive interaction, this extra unacceptability for all four island types in high SCS adults. In fact, 173 adult subjects are what they tested from that 2012 study. And so what this means is that this is our measurable behavioral outcome. This is the knowledge that dependencies can't cross these island structures as they're extra bad. They lead to this super additive interaction, this extra unacceptability. And again, that's a behavioral target that we can measure, right? That's an outcome that we can measure to signal acquisition of syntactic island knowledge.